East Main Street in Manasquan, New Jersey. From pizza and salads to pasta and buffalo wings, we have something to suit every member of your family. Whether you're seeking to take out, delivery, or just want to dine in, let us do the dishes. We would be more than happy to take care of your next meal. Our courteous and friendly restaurant staff is here to meet and exceed all your expectations. We promise an enjoyable experience each and every time we serve you. Try our award-winning sesame seed crust pizza, the recent winner of first place in the Las Vegas Pizza Open in the Artisans Division. Visit us online at sesameseedpizza.com for store hours, menus, and phone numbers, or just stop by one of our two great locations. You'll be glad you did. Esposito's Pizza and Pasta, so close to eating at Mom's, but without all the yelling.
Listening to Damage 365 Radio, and this is ECW Original, the Angry Amish Warrior Roadkill.
What's up, everybody? This is Coach Kev of the Damage 365 Radio Network. I want to talk to you about one of our sponsors, the Funkenstein Wrestling Superstore. That's right, you heard it. They're in Englishtown Flea Market in the Green Building, booth number 35. They have everything for your wrestling collectible needs. Check them out. They got figures, DVDs, cards, t-shirts, and even tickets to local independent wrestling circuits. They have that and so much more. Look, sitting here listening to me talk about it does not do it justice. Go check it out for yourself. The Funkenstein Wrestling Superstore in Englishtown Flea Market, Green Building, booth number 35. Also, check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/FunkensteinINC. And tell them Coach Kev sent you.
This is former WWE superstar The Patriot, and you're listening to Damage 365 Radio. Do not touch that dial. USA, USA, USA. The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hey, welcome back to the 81st episode of Real Sports Talk with Kenny Kluska. As I mentioned prior to the commercial break, I'm going to be taking a look at some of the other late selections in NFL drafts, quarterbacks who have gone on to have, pretty strong careers. We're going to look at some of the best who have done it. For this, I was looking at guys, drafted for the most part 100th or later. See, the way I looked at it, Dak Prescott was drafted in the 4th round this year. The 4th round started with the 99th pick overall, so I was kind of looking, for 99th or later, of course, because, back in, let's say the 50s or 60s, even if a guy was drafted, say, in the 6th round, there was only 8 to 10 teams, so 6th round back then might have been the 2nd or 3rd round in the current NFL draft. So, like I said, really 99th or over, except I did make one exception and included someone on this list who was drafted 98th overall, sue me. Whatever. And, there was actually a lot of guys who I didn't include on the list, who went on to have very solid careers in the NFL. You might not expect it from guys, drafted, like around 100th or later. You think of all the great quarterbacks who were drafted, in the first round, guys like Marino, Elway, Manning. There's probably one guy you always think of, who's drafted later. Not every guy's going to be that guy. But there was a few Hall of Famers who will be on my list. And, some of the guys who didn't even make my list, guys like Elvis Gerback, Trent Green, Aaron Brooks, Mark Bolger, David Garrard, Kyle Orton, Steve Berline, Stan Humphries, Scott Mitchell, Brad Johnson, even a guy like George Blanda, who I didn't really include because, while he quarterbacked, he pretty much did it all in his career. So just a lot of guys, drafted later in the draft, who went on to have very good careers in the NFL. And there's 3 current starting quarterbacks in the NFL, who I didn't put on the list, who were drafted in the 4th round or later recently, but are currently starting in the NFL. Ryan Fitzpatrick was drafted in the 7th round, when he's coming off his career high in passing yards and passing touchdowns with the Jets. We have Tyrod Taylor, who had a Pro Bowl season in his first season starting for the Buffalo Bills. He was drafted in the 6th round. And Kirk Cousins, who was drafted in the 4th round, the same year they took RG3, 2nd overall, the Washington Redskins. He got his first real chance at starting the whole season and, performed very well. So those are 3 guys, if I were to do this list again in, say 3 or 4 years, there would be the possibility of including these guys, but all the 10 guys that I included on the list are a little more established in the NFL. Maybe not more than Fitzpatrick. All these guys, Fitzpatrick's been a starter for more or less, 8 or 9 seasons. But these 10 guys all went on to have very solid NFL careers, and in some cases, a Hall of Fame career. So let's get the ball rolling with this list and start off with number 10, and that will be Mark Brunell, who was drafted in the 5th round with the 118th overall selection in 1993 by the Green Bay Packers. Brunell went on to play 18 seasons in the NFL, had a 78-73 record as a starting quarterback. He made 3 Pro Bowls. He had 32,072 career passing yards and once led the NFL. 184 passing touchdowns, 15 rushing touchdowns. 6 times he threw for at least 3,000 yards. Currently he's 38th all-time in passing yards and 50th all-time in passing TDs. Won 5 playoff games in his career. Helped lead the Jaguars to the AFC Championship game in 1996. And towards the end of his career, he did win a ring. He wasn't the starting quarterback. He was the backup to Drew Brees, but he does have a Super Bowl ring in his career. Number 10 on the list, Mark Brunell. Number 9 on the list, and some of the guys I might have mentioned. And one guy I didn't mention, I forgot, sorry. Doug Flutie was drafted in the 11th round. So if I included his CFL numbers, where he won multiple CFL MVPs and won Grey Cups, I probably would have included him on this list. But I was mainly focusing on what they did in the NFL, these guys. But number 9, as I mentioned, the guy who might not have had better stats than some of the guys I mentioned who didn't quite make the list, but this guy is both a Super Bowl winner as a starting quarterback and a Super Bowl MVP. He was drafted in the 6th round with the 146th overall pick in 1986 by the Washington Redskins. That is Mark Rippon, who was in his 11 seasons went 47-31 as a starting quarterback. Had 18,473 career passing yards, 115 passing touchdowns. Twice went over 3,000 yards passing. Two-time Pro Bowler. 5-2 in the playoffs in his career. That 91 season, as I mentioned, won the Super Bowl and Super Bowl MVP when he went 18 for 30 for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mark Rippon, number 9 on the list. Number 8 on the list, drafted in the 6th round with the 187th overall selection by the Green Bay Packers in 1998. That is Matt Hasselbeck, whose career finally came to a close last year. Retired after the 2015 season. Actually made 8 starts for the Colts last year once Andrew Luck went down with injury. In his 17 seasons, he went 85-75 as a starter. He helped to lead the Seattle Seahawks to the Super Bowl in the 2005 season, where they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Had a strong postseason career as he threw 18 touchdowns to just 9 interceptions. Made 3 Pro Bowls in his career. Threw for over 3,000 yards 8 times. 36,638 career passing yards, 212 career passing touchdowns. Matt Hasselbeck, very strong career, which finally came to an end at the end of last season. Number 7 on the list, drafted in the 12th round with the 168th overall selection in 1963 by the Green Bay Packers, although his career was really spent with the Raiders. That is the Mad Bomber, Daryle Lamonica, who, what a winning percentage in his career as a starting quarterback. In his 12 seasons as a starter, he went 66-16-6, made 5 Pro Bowls, twice was a first-team All-Pro, was the 1967 AFL Player of the Year, twice led the NFL in passing touchdowns and once led in passing yards. For his career, 19,154 passing yards and 164 passing touchdowns, as well as 14 touchdowns on the ground. The Mad Bomber, Daryle Lamonica, 7th on the list. Number 6, another former MVP, also won Offensive Player of the Year that same year in 1983. Was a 4th round pick, 99th overall by the Miami Dolphins in 1971. He did his work with the Washington Redskins, though. That is Joe Theismann. A lot of people who weren't around at that time probably know him from that highlight where, he broke his leg from a Lawrence Taylor sack. But, don't get it twisted. The guy had a great career. In his 12 seasons, went 77-47 as a starter. As I mentioned, won MVP and Offensive Player of the Year the same season. Twice made the Pro Bowl. 25,206 career passing yards and 160 career passing touchdowns. Was the Super Bowl winning quarterback during the 1982 season and had a career record of 6-2 in the playoffs. Joe Theismann, number 6 on the list. Number 5, another former MVP. He won MVP in the 2002 season. As I mentioned, I included one guy who was drafted 98th. This is the guy drafted in the 4th round, 98th overall selection by the Patriots in 1987. That is Rich Gannon, whose career spanned 17 seasons, went 76-56 as a starting quarterback, made 4 Pro Bowls. Most of his work came in that 4-year span. From 1999 to 2002, those were all his 4 Pro Bowl appearances. In those 4 years, he went 41-23, 63.4 completion percentage, 105 passing touchdowns to just 44 interceptions, and a 93.2 passer rating. Won the MVP in that 2002 season when he threw for 4,689 yards, completed 67.6% of his passes, threw 26 touchdowns, ran for another 3. Gannon was twice named All-Pro, first team All-Pro for his career. Finished up with 28,743 passing yards, 180 passing touchdowns, and 21 rushing touchdowns. Rich Gannon also led the Raiders to a Super Bowl appearance where they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is number 5 on the list. Number 4.